We finally got confirmation now that for the Harry Potter HBO series that they're going to do a race swap Snape for it. This was coming from Variety yesterday. Harry Potter HBO series confirms casting of Dumbledore, Snape, McGonagall, Hagrid, and more Hogwarts staffers. The cast now includes the following regulars: John Lithgow as Albus Dumbledore, Janet McTeer as Minerva McGonagall, Paapa Essiedu as Severus Snape, and Nick Frost as Rubeus Hagrid. It had previously been reported that all 4 actors were in talks for the show, and that's kind of what I was getting at. It was rumored and speculated and even known that they were talking with HBO about a part in the series, but up until this point, we didn't know if it was how far along in the process they were, how serious they were. Some people were even saying that maybe they're just kind of floating out the idea about having a race swap Snape for the series just to see how audiences react to it. And if the reaction is overwhelmingly negative, then maybe they'll pull back on it. But it looks like that's not the case. Either the reaction wasn't as negative of what social media would lead me to believe, or they just don't care about it and they were willing to move forward with this from the get-go. Now, what does this mean? Because some people are going to try to say that it's not a race swap casting or whatever. It's like, no, it's pretty clear in the book that Snape has been described many times as being pale. Some descriptions said that his skin was white. There's another description that kind of goes around on social media describing his skin color as sallow, which basically means kind of pale and sickly, other things like that. At no point in the book does it describe Snape as anything or to suggest that he's anything other than a white man. In fact, J.K. Rowling herself made a number of illustrations in the past on how she personally envisioned Snape. And this is one of those illustrations right here. And she writes, "Snape as I always saw him. This was scribbled back in 1992 or 3, although I have spent years denying that Snape is a vampire. One of the more outlandish and persistent fan theories. I must say he does look a little Count Dracula-ish in that cloak." And then there's other illustrations of Snape. There's this one here, pretty similar to how the previous one was. There's this one here. So she was pretty consistent on how she envisioned Snape in the Harry Potter series. And one thing even about casting Alan Rickman as the role in the movies is he was still too old for the role, or he was significantly older than his book counterpart. Even though he otherwise looked perfect for the role, there was still some criticism over his casting when that initially happened, like over 20 years ago at this point now. People were critical over that, and they were also critical over Daniel Radcliffe's casting, or the fact that he didn't have green eyes in the movie because the context that they were trying to work with Daniel Radcliffe for were bothering his eyes. So they're like, well, as long as he has the same eye color as his mother, then it should be fine. So we'll just make his mother have blue eyes in the movies. And for some reason, they didn't cast an actress with blue eyes for that. So they just decided to drop that whole point, even though it is kind of a prominent part of his character where people say he has his mother's eyes. I guess they just didn't pay much attention to that in the movies, or they didn't care too much about it. But still, there was criticism over that. And that's just the thing when it comes to a lot of the fans of the Harry Potter series, is that it has such a huge fan base. They're critical whenever there's decisions that are being made that go against how the book described it. And with this HBO series, they were saying that this is going to be a series of Harry Potter that really takes the time to follow the books and stays true to the source material. Then right away from like the first big casting decisions that they make, they announce that one of the most prominent characters in the whole series is going to be race swapped. And to me, that's kind of getting off on the wrong foot. Now, there was a possibility this was going to happen. The open casting calls, this came out last fall. The Harry Potter series opens casting call for Harry, Ron, and Hermione. We are committed to inclusive, diverse casting. Now, this doesn't mean that they're only going to be looking for diverse casting for the 3 leads, although that's still a possibility. I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. I don't think they're going to do a race swapped Harry Potter. That might be a little bit too bold of them. Perhaps they might do a race swapped Hermione because they've already done that in that one previous stage show. I don't know. Maybe I would like it. It'd be funny if they did a race swap with Ron. So the poorest family at Hogwarts is the black family. That'd be kind of funny if I don't know if they'll do that. So maybe this whole diverse casting meant they were just looking for diverse casting for any role. Now, whether Paapa Essiedu is actually good for the role, I can't say because I haven't seen him in anything. And I don't think people should attack the actor for stuff like this happening, because actors, I'm not going to necessarily hold them accountable for if they're not right for a role, particularly unless if they're saying something to invite criticism. If they start attacking, if he starts attacking fans and saying that anyone who doesn't like him in the role is just an instant phobe and other things like that, it's like, well, okay, you're kind of inviting this on yourself. But I mean, until that happens, I would say leave the actor alone. If you're going to be critical over this, be critical over the decision to actually cast him in the role in the first place, because to me, it just kind of shows, it just kind of gets things off on the wrong foot when you're saying you're trying to do a faithful adaptation of the Harry Potter story, and the first thing you do is do a race swap for a lead character like that, because it makes me think, like, are you really trying to be faithful, or are you just trying to use this to push an agenda? Because that's one thing it suggests when they do stuff like this, and that's kind of what ruins a lot of franchises, is when the people working behind the scenes on it just care more about pushing their own agenda as opposed to telling the story properly or doing the story justice. And maybe that's the case when it comes to this one. It's possible he's actually fantastic in the role other than the description, and you can kind of get past that as the show goes on. I know for House of the Dragon, there was a lot of controversy around the decision to make the entire Valerian house race swapped from how they were described in the book, and come to find out the show was still good, and the Valerian house is actually, there's a lot of good characters in that. So, and me personally, I even thought it kind of helped, at least it distinguished the Valerians from the Targaryens pretty well, because if they were all white with white hair, then maybe it would have been a little bit more confusing, because there's a lot of characters in that. So at least there's more of a clear separation between the two houses, although some plot decisions about the biology of children, it's a little bit I think it makes it a little bit more clear in the show versus in the book. It's a bit more ambiguous because if you have a black father and a white mother, then I think the biology would be a little bit more pronounced or whatever, one way or the other. So it makes things less ambiguous in the show, but some people might like that, other people might not. But I'm just kind of going off on a tangent about something completely different. What I'm saying is, just because there's a race swap doesn't necessarily mean the show's going to be bad. Although, like I said, it is kind of starting off on the wrong foot, especially since a lot of Harry Potter fans, as I previously mentioned, are passionate about the source material, and they were excited that HBO was going to do a show that was going to be faithful to the source material, or at least that's what they were claiming. And it's looking like that's actually not going to be the case when it comes to this show. They're going to essentially do their own thing with it. It's just a matter of whether or not the show could work despite what the creatives behind it are doing, or maybe they know something, or they have a good idea about how they're going to go about this, and it's going to work out when we finally do see the show come out. We'll just have to wait and see on this. But for the moment, though, I would say that this is not a good thing for them, because it's creating more division where it didn't need to be. And if they were just really concerned about having too many white people in this, well, obviously that's a racist thought process. But if they wanted to have a different race and someone of a prominent character, maybe they were figuring that's the safest bet, because there's really no other ties to that character, like not like a whole lot of family that they need to establish in this. So they say, like, okay, we can just make one change right here, and then it'll create more diversity in a lot of the principal cast members. But honestly, though, I think it was kind of a dumb move on their part, and it's just going to invite more controversy where it could have easily been avoided. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think this is going to be a decision that outright ruins the show, or do you think it can work, but it's given it kind of starting off on a sour note? Comment below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.